Alright, everybody. So, this is going in at the end of the video. Obviously, it's early in the morning. I forgot this yesterday. So, I also wanted to let you guys know, if you're watching until the end, that some things kind of played out of order. And then I deleted the videos without checking them, so I can't even go back to the source vids to fix it. But I'd have to edit the other video, and it was taking like an hour to edit it and redo clips, and I'm not doing that. I already spent 2.5, 3 hours on that video yesterday. But the point is in the beginning, what did I actually, that summoning concept, where I swapped a 110 command and take the troops off and put the 10% item on, etc. to see how many troops get summoned by Avalon, that was actually an afterthought and should have went at the complete end of the videos where it was supposed to go. I didn't put it there. I ended up putting it second in the clip series. So first you have Avalon's Hero review, the stats, the abilities, etc. And what was supposed to happen after that was a direct follow-up into Ardent Aura and Archer Mastery, but instead it falls into the summons, so just assume that summons part is at the end of the video. It doesn't matter, I watched it, it makes sense either way, it won't matter. If anything, it's actually better the way it worked out, because you get the stat concept earlier, which will change the math, and if I had actually done that first, understood how the stats affected it, I would have understood why the math checked out the way it did. So I have most of the numbers written down on paper. There's a couple summons numbers I didn't get last night, but yeah, so what I've established is anywhere from 50 to 60 stat points, command, might, magic, whatever the case may be, is 10% towards whatever the concept is. It will add 10% attack speed, it will add 10% health to your units, and there's ways to test that, and I did the math backwards like 6 times, and I've proven now based on the math, and I'm going to keep doing it every hero I do this with just to make sure, but that stamina and command checkout, that the stamina, and I'm going to do the math here on screen for you, checks out and shows 10% health increase from the 50 to 60 stamina points that I got from the heroes, and that's after the Ardent Aura and the Archer Mastery, and that's why the math wasn't making sense, because I was supposed to be getting 7,000 from the Archer Mastery, and I was getting 10,000. When you throw the extra 10% on the 19%, that's actually exactly what you get. So the math started checking out perfect, which is where I started to conclude more and more that 50 stats equals 10%, or 50 to 60. And then I did the summons trick. It ended up being true with that as well. And then the stamina thing was correct as well. So it's proving more and more in each of these situations. And then even the minute percentage increases in the Archer Mastery or the Ardent Aura showed too. It showed the 10%. So it's consistent. It's consistent enough to say it. Now, if you're on a bigger account, or a lower level account, it will be easier to prove these concepts. A mid-level account is the hardest to prove it on, because you don't really have, you can't just jack up to 200 command real quick to get a really different idea between 50 and 200, adding 150 command. And if you're in the beginning, you don't have a high base command like 50, so it's easier to test because you only have like 1 or 2 or 4 base commands. So, alright, but here's some of the math. So what we had originally gotten was the units are supposed to have 48k health, and what we've learned is Illith's math is completely wrong. Not one unit measured up to what they said they were supposed to have, and you're gonna see in the video, I'm letting these troops die. I'm literally letting them die, proving on the damage board that is their total health, that the total damage being done by the enemies is their health. And there's obviously some things here and there that happen out of place, but for the most part, it's generally the same. So that wasn't the case. When I did my first run without Avalon, so there was no added boost, except for the command from Tiadrin, I got 37 to 13. Okay, now just to do some basic math for you, if you were to add 19% to that, you do 2 times 0.19. It's not complicated math, that's 19%. So you would add 7,000 to 37,000, which ends up being about 45,000, which is exactly what I got when I put on his Archer Mastery up to 19%. I got 45,000. It was almost spot on. It was literally like perfect, perfectly spot on. Okay, then let's just do the math again. So you have your base stat of 37k. Okay, just keep that in mind. Now, in addition to the Archer Mastery, we added Ardent Aura. We ended up getting 56,000. Give or change. That's for 56,473 if we want to get technical. But we have 56k. Now, what that tells us is there's 7% from the Ardent Aura, right? So if we do 7% of 37k, because that was the original that we had, times 0.07, because that's what it would be, it's an extra 3k. So an extra 3k added to the 7k from before would be 10k, which would have only brought us to 47, 48k-ish. So for some reason, we have an additional 8k there that we couldn't account for, we couldn't figure out. So what we ended up realizing, and it took us a little bit, was it's actually times, and this is where it gets crazy, and this is when I started putting other heroes in, so it changes the stats a little bit too. I had to put a couple other heroes in just to get the test done. Heroes like Avril, so I could wall them off and make sure that they don't do any damage or take any damage to get these stats to be more accurate. But what I learned was that 19% and 7% gets added, becoming 26%. So what you actually get is this, which turns out to be 9.6k. Okay, so you add that to that. Again, it still comes up to 46, 47k. But then it was making my math even worse, and I was trying to figure out why. And the reason being is you're actually getting, for every 50 command points, and there was actually 50 command points here. So Avril added 9, Tiadrin added 40, and that was really the one that was killing me. Or shouldn't know, Avril added 1, Tiadrin added 33, and Avalon had the base of 55. So at this point, we're adding almost about another 100 stat points in. So you can assume that there's another 10% there. We'll just say 10%. So even if you were to just add the other 10%, it becomes 13k. 13k plus 37k is 50.1k-ish, which is closer to the idea of 56k. So then we have a little bit of inconsistent numbers. I think in that video, Tiadrin takes a couple hits from the orcs, which could account for that extra couple thousand. Also, there might be percentage things here that I'm missing. There could be that one extra little command point actually does make the difference. So instead of 10%, you get like a 10.55% or something like that. This is all based on algorithms. This game's all algorithms. So you got to remember that this math could go into decimal points that we can't understand, or that are logical and rational, but aren't rational to us, because it doesn't make our lives easy. Okay, so then eventually we put the items on him, and this is where things got interesting. So the damages were also going up too, and this is what's cool too, is when I did, their original damage was 61k, and that went up to 74k, and what's really cool about that is when you do times 0.19, it's actually almost perfect, plus the 3k from the 10%. Like command, or might, whatever the case may be. But the point being is it was like basically perfect. And that can change based on troops healing and stuff too. So that's why when you do these tests, you want to pick the right dungeons. You want to pick the right types of concepts to do this with. And Tiadrin's a great way to test these because she can damage enemies without actually getting hit. And then we tested it with items on. And when we tested it with items on, our numbers got a little bit skewed. So what ended up happening is the troops were only able to put out the first time 42k damage. So clearly that's less than the 56k that we got when we just put Ardent Aura and Archer Mastery on, which wouldn't make any sense. Right now we have items on them. And then the second time we got 50k. But what was also happening, and that I haven't been mentioning, is the first run they all died, right? The second run, they all died, so it gave me the perfect statistic. But then the third run, the Bronze Archers stopped dying, because once they get that Ardent Aura, they're actually pretty tanky. And I did 3 runs of Ardent Aura to get a point where they did die, and that's when I got the 56k health. But they didn't even all die. Only 17 of the 24 died, so that still means there's 7 more left to accumulate a little bit more health. And then when we went down and put the items on, none of them were dying. 12 died, and then 13 died. And that was injuries and deaths, which also, again, could mess with your numbers and statistics, because an injury might not give as much damage to the enemy as a full-blown death. So they may only get 2k of their health taken out of the 2200 and then run, and then it doesn't count for the last 200. So this is all the math that I've done. But again, if you're looking at the generalized numbers, though, okay, generally, the numbers gear towards 50 stat points being 10%. Generally, it's showing that the accuracy of these stats listed on Avalon are true. So we've proven that some of the other heroes aren't true, and I haven't shown that in videos yet, but I'm going to be doing those videos. But with Avalon, it shows that they're actually true. So they must have revamped him so many times that they've made his stats pretty accurate. And it looks like, as of right now, it's 50 points to 10%. So we did the summoner trick. You're going to see that. It went from summoning 1 set to 2 sets. We used a 10% item to gauge how much 10% was troop-wise, and it ended up being the exact same as 55 command being added. So that was proof. And then what else? That's really it. Next, I think the next thing I should try to do is a might hero, to prove the might one, because that would be an easier one to prove too. Magic will probably be the only one that's tough to prove, except for the fact that it gives you magical resistance, so I can make a play off of that somehow. I gotta figure out how. Um, these are all math variables at the end of the day, so there's logic here. You just gotta find it. But this is gonna end up being like an hour video, so I'm gonna end this. But that's it, guys. You just kind of saw me do the math on screen. I might upload a picture over this of the notebook, the notes that I wrote down as I went, just to give you an idea on what I'm doing. But yeah. All right, guys. See you in the next one. You on Avalon. Silverwing's Last Hope. So first off, the fallen prince of Silverwings, Avalon, seeks to raise an army and retake his homeland on a faraway continent of Drake. It would be cool if Illith started to branch out into these other lands like Drake, but they haven't. You know, they have a good amount of lore with this game that they've built so far, and they haven't explored it yet. This game could do a lot more than what they're doing, and I really hope to see the future of it. So we're gonna do... Yeah, that's kind of problematic, but at least we have one that's not really... Okay, hopefully we have one that's already set up for humans. Yeah, so this would probably be the one most adept to humans. Just curious. We're gonna use this to get our point through, though, actually. Yeah. Alright, well, let's just cut to the chase. Avalon is the human hero that buffs archers. He is geared around archers. That is his job, is to help out the archer units. What we're going to do is we're going to show you, without Ardent Aura, which boosts the max health of troops, we're going to show you what happens when you just boost by 1 or 2%. We'll do 2, so just giving them 4% increase. What we're going to do, though, first, actually I'm silly, me, is we're going to go to, they all have it, damn it. Alright, so it's going to have to be this one. I already put 4% in. I wanted to show you what their base, actually I can still do this. So I'm going to pause the video, go to the next part. Also, he's got no items on for a reason. He's just got his base command that built up. He's got maxed out command, which kind of sucks too for this video, but it will still get the point across. Alright guys, so we're back real quick. Let me pause the TV too so you can actually hear me. I'm going to mute it. We're back really quick because I actually thought about something that I didn't realize until now, but what we're actually going to do now is, because what we did is we removed all of this, right, to see if the summons changed, and I figured out that this is a great way to actually see some math. So we're just going to put this for now, okay? That's increasing us from 55 to 94. Let's actually get to about 110 if we can, because that would be exactly double. So now we're just going to find an item that has what I'm looking for. I don't care who I'm taking it from. So that's exactly double. 55 is base stats. We're going to pause. Or we'll have to make sure we don't have... yep, we're on the right one. So last time, this ability summoned only 1 unit. When I took everything off, I doubled his power, or his command exactly. Okay. Now we're just going to see what he summons. So like I said, I did double his power, right on the money. Or I mean his command right on the money. Okay, and what seems to have happened here is it didn't summon a full set. So doubling his power, doubling his command. So doubling his command didn't actually double all of his units. So what that goes to show us is that there's not a 1-to-1 ratio of command to the effect on the unit. So basically saying without anything on, he's at 55 command. He summons just one set. Okay, so what we just learned is that 55 command base stat plus 55 doubles plus the 55 command that I've applied to him is not enough to reach 2 full sets of these guys. Now, what we did have was 138 command, I believe it was as high as we got him. So we're just going to throw this on. It's a little bit over. It's going to be 122, so it's a little bit over. It's going to be 12 command over the 12 command over the 110, so just double. I'm genuinely going to use this dungeon for like all of my hero review videos. So he summons. Let's turn the volume off. So that gets him 2 full sets. So let's pause. So what we actually just learned was 55 and 55 is 110. And although that's not enough to get him, 55 is not enough to get him, it seems like somewhere between 55 and 12 more would be 77. Somewhere between 55 and 77 command actually gave me a whole nother set. So you have the base stats, which are 55 on him, which gives you 1 set. And then if you add another additional 55, it'll add a partial set. And if you add a minimum of 77, it seems, or a maximum of 77, because that would be our max out at this point, command points to what's already there, you will get a second set. So somewhere between 55 and 70 is a complete new set. So we're going to go with the middle. Since it was 12, we'll say about 60, 61 command. We'll give you a whole nother summon set. And the reason we're doing this now is because we're just going to apply this item alone, 10% more item units, to get an idea kind of on how this actually works. So pause. So let's try this again. Let's see just how much more 10% is. Okay, so 10% seems to look like the exact same army that came out of the 55 command. So yeah, this provided the same amount as the 55 command that I had added to this. And if you watch the video, just rewind it, you can see that. So it's fair to assume that 10% is equivalent to 55 command. And what I'm trying to get at kind of here, if you will, is, all right, command points affect this, obviously, right? So when it was at 110 command, that 10% took effect. It's too bad that I can't bring him down to completely 0, so I could give you the most accurate idea of what this gentleman would summon at this level. I do have other Avalon accounts I'm about to hop on real quick that may have a lower command. That'll give us a better idea, but also share his level of 36 to give us at least this idea. So as of right now, though, I'm assuming that 10% is equivalent to 100. And if that's the case, that means 100 spec points in all of these are going to add 10%. So 100 command here will add 10% to this. So if you have 2%, or let's just go to the one we set up for it, this is now 29%. And when you do the math, actually, on what we had done earlier, we kept getting weird math, right? And it was weird because it kept having a little bit extra. But let's just take the 35K one, the first one that we did. They ended up with, I think, 46K-ish at the end of it. Or 45K, it was like a 10K ad. And the math said that it should have been a 7K ad. Basically, what we're determining is that based on the stamina points, that the heroes had that I had on the field, 1, which I also have math for that too. I'm just going to do that in a side note, because I'm also still doing all this math on the side as I'm making these videos, because I'm trying to figure out the most accurate way to do this. But if we were to add 10% to the 19%, making it 29%, the 29% of the 35K would be about 30% of that, so it would be about 10K, which would make a whole lot more sense now, wouldn't it? So what we're learning, kind of, and what I'm getting at is that 55 command is equivalent to, or 100 command is equivalent to 10%, or 10 points. Or yeah, 10%. And technically that's not even accurate, because I just asked a friend when I paused the video if what his Avalon summons if he's got lower command than this, and no matter what, he always summons at least one set when it gets to this of silvers. So he's guaranteed to summon one set of those silver tier 11s. So that doesn't affect that. That doesn't change that. That's going to stay pretty much the same. Apparently the level of your stronghold increases it too, so that could have something to play with it. He may, I don't know what stronghold he is, but I think he's close to me. If anything, he's higher. So basically I'm saying 50 is 10%. That's the math that I'm thinking is correct, is 50 is 10%. 100 would be 20%. That's why it sends out 2 sets of those units. And it would make sense actually even more, because then again on the percentages, when eventually I did do both of these together, the Ardent Aura and that, they ended up with like 50k health, which would make more sense now. It would add 15k to the health bar that they already had. It added 3k to the 7k it was supposed to add without items, with just Avalon and Archer Mastery. It added 15k to the like 10k it was supposed to have, so that was an extra 5k based on these concepts. And all of these are affected by command. So all of these got a nice little buff, so that extra 5k can be accounted for by that. The other thing that I'm doing right now too is that he also has 7 stamina, but if we're going off the logic of 10%, right, this is what I like about this. For 50 points, I had him in for 7, I had her in for 9, which makes 16. I had Tiadrin in for 40, right? So that's 50. So that's another 10%. So I'm going to go and do all the math now, but I'm almost positive that it's going to work itself out perfectly, actually. And if I'm correct, I just gave you the math that you guys have all been looking for. 50 stat points equals 10% of whatever it is. And I'm going to prove it more and obviously do more tests as we go on, because that's the whole goal in this channel, is to do more tests as we go on. You're kind of pissing me off now, Susan. Stop. And basically, like, it'll get more obvious with heroes that have might-based concepts, because I'll be able to start proving why their attacks do damage the way they do. For now, I want to try one more thing actually before we stop. Let's do 10%. And then what was that item I added to add 12? It was this, right? To add that extra 12. Well, that's not right, actually, because 71 plus 16 isn't... Doesn't matter. We're going to add that item in just like we did before, assuming that we added 55 plus, which would be the 10%, plus 12. Okay. So this will be the final test. If I'm right, then this should summon 2 full sets. First I have to actually do it. Okay. Now we're ready to do it, because we needed to have summon archers on. So yeah, if I'm right, this should summon 2 full sets. And it doesn't. Okay, so this time we've actually just added a better visage to get us closer to that point, because we were 1 or 2 command points under where we needed to be. And I'm also realizing, well actually, so we're going to do it again. I gave it the extra 1 or 2 points that it needed. And it still does not summon 2 full units. So that's huge. That's a lot, actually. Let's research this. Now the question is, how much more command does this guy need to hit that mark? And we're going to add an item that doesn't have as much command on it. Something like this. Just to give it an extra 4 really quickly. So now we've only added 18, 4, 22 extra. Nope, still not quite there. Okay, so we finally found what we need to get that second set in. We had to add a couple more items, and we'll go to that in a second. But there we go, we got the 2 full sets. You could add a few more troops to this probably, but that's the 2 full sets. So to get that 10% increase, now we're going to go back. Okay, so what we just learned is that we need 102 command plus the 10% item to get to 2 full sets of archers. The equivalent of having 138 command. So what that tells us is that between 102 and 138, there's about 26 points-ish. Or 133, I guess. I thought it was higher. Oh yeah, because of this. I should do it this way. Or 145. What the fuck? I'm a little bit confused now. I'm pretty sure I put the same items on I had earlier. Either way, 145. So from the point of 102 to 145, that might have been my actual numbers, but the point is from 102. Oh. Yeah, so we just got signed out. But basically what we just learned was 102 to 1. Again. Because the real goal right now is to get these fucking guys killed. They should die this time. They took a lot more damage. Again, we don't really want Tiadrin taking damage, because that'll mess my stats up. But she's going to take some damage right here. 1 or 2 swings isn't going to throw our stats off that much. We're not going to add in the tower damage that these towers do either. So I'm not as concerned. Not as concerned about it, because it'll show up on the thing that I'm looking at. Okay, so the goal here is to show 8 dead, 16 injured. They did 61,000 damage on their own before I had to step in with the Tiadrin. Like I said, we're going to count the orc damage because only 2 swings went towards the Tiadrin. We're not going to count the tower damages. So we have a total of 22,000 and 9,000, which is 30k. We have 34k, 35k, about 35k damage. I guess we'll 35k damage. It says here that each of them has about 2.2k health. Times 24 would be 48k, so they're under health. And that was me counting things I probably shouldn't have. So that just goes to show you that the math is wrong there, that they actually have less health than it's saying that they have. Now we're going to do it again. We're going to blank all that out, though. We're going to do it again. Except this time we're going to put an Avalon. He's going to be giving them not just the humanoid buffs for Ardent Aura, for health, but he's also going to be giving them Archer Mastery. I don't have Ardent Aura unlocked yet, just Archer Mastery for now. I put it up 2, so it's 4% bonus to them. Actually, we're going to change that too. Are we? Yeah, we're going to change that. Okay, so this is take 2 with Avalon. I've maxed his Archer's Mastery up to where I can get it to for his level. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Now granted, these troop command stats are playing a role in it, these hero command stats, but not playing such a big role that it's going to make a huge difference. So we actually want to kill these orcs. I know that my archers will die, so I just want to kill these orcs to make sure that they don't take a whole ton of damage from Tiadrin. That's 2 swings, 3 swings, 4... about 3 swings. 3-ish, 4 swings on the Tiadrin that the orcs got. I'm not going to consider that a lot of damage. I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm not going to count it. Not count it, but I'm going to take off the tower damage as compensation for it. We're not going to count those 2 guard tower damages. So again, I'm going to have to go through these videos and do the math. So they did more damage. They did about 10k more damage, which makes sense. It's about 10%. That might be an accurate stat, which is pretty cool. And we'll read that one off in a second. But here's the stats that we're looking for. Again, it says that they have certain amount of health. We added it up to 40 something k. We added up to 35k on our own, and it says that they're supposed to have 48k. Let's see what they get when they have Avalon in. So right off the rip, you see 38k damage on the orcs. That's a lot. That's a lot of damage to be dealt. So 38k is already higher than 35k we got last time. We're at 49, we'll say 50k already. So about 50k health from 35k. That's 15k health. I'm going to pause for a second. Or no, actually we may not have to pause. Nope, we don't have to. So it's giving me 20%, almost 19% increased damage, 19% increased health. And what we're seeing there is we went from about 60k to 74k, so that's about 19% actually, because 60k, 19% of 60k would be whatever goes into 60k 5 times 30. So 5 goes into 37 times, so it's like 14. About 14k, so that's actually spot on math-wise for the damage. So you can assume that Avalon stats are gonna be right. And then 19% health increase would be from 35k to the 50k that we got, so it's 15k, and 20% of 30k would be whatever goes into that 5 times, which would be 7 actually. So actually it should have only been 7,000 health based on that math, but for whatever reason they got a little bit more. We're gonna redo this one. So we've decided to skew our numbers a little bit more by putting in Mako. So all of these heroes also have command stat, but he's going to help us kill the troops a little faster. But all of these heroes have command stat though too, so they're actually skewing the statistics a little bit, but their commands aren't high enough to make it that big of a difference. And Avalon started with 50 command on the server, so not much I could have done about that. This is without items. Remember, I'm going to be doing an item run after. Okay, so they got 1 swing. The orcs got 1 swing off, so now I can say that for sure this is the more accurate run.
They got 1 orc swing off on Tiadrin. They did less damage this time because Mako was in doing all the damage. But okay, we got a more accurate idea on the health though. It's 28k and 11k. That right there is already 40k almost. We're gonna say it's 40k because it's just about. And then with them, that's 44k, about 45k, 46k-ish. So about 46k-ish. That is exactly 15k or 10k more than 35k that I predicted. So I'm gonna count that to these guys all have stamina stats that are incorporated into this. She's cut a lot of stamina stats. So reduces damage suffered every 5 points, increases energy by 1, increases troop health and deal during duels. It would be cool if it gave us a better idea on some of these things, but basically the math checks out. It says 19% would have been 7k health based on our math, and they got just about a little bit more than 7k, about 10k, but that's also, I'm going to custom that to the heroes that are included. So that the math on Avalon seems to check out. Let's go to. So it appears that the Avalon math actually checks out. So for Archer Mastery, he does actually boost you by the percent that you're considering. So you can actually do the math on that. Now when we add in Ardent Aura, that's going to change this a little bit. It's going to add an additional 7% health to all the units, plus the 19% already. So we're going to redo that again. We're going to do the same setup. I'm going to slow the raid down too so I don't freaking mess up. So Mako's taken away from their shine a little bit damage-wise, but that's okay. I'll tell you one thing, they clearly have more health. So we may not even need Mako now, but put him in the back. We want those guys to die, so we're going to try and cut them off. Both Tiadrin and Mako. But it looks like they're actually doing really good on their own. So I'm going to let that stand for itself. That they in fact do have more health. That they do in fact get more damage. That they are doing better. Actually, it looks like it even reads it. Oh no, that's the same that I think they had already. Just do the stats again. So they did 20k damage, 23k damage, 26k damage. We'll say 27k because of the way it adds up. 27k damage. I can positively say that the tower damage can be included this time too, because only the archers took aggro. So we're at 27k damage. Then the tower comes along. We'll say 29k, 30k damage, 31,000 damage. So it's hard to gauge how much health they gained in this fight, but we can guarantee that they did gain health because they didn't die like the other video. So it's not good for math purposes, so we're going to redo it one more time. Okay. We can assume that Mako is not going to take away from that much stamina by taking him out, that much health, or skew the stats that much, but we might get a little bit different results. If it comes down to it that they end up surviving and killing everything again, then we're just going to accept that they have more health and not try to do the math for them. Because it seems like they're just kind of bullying the troops now. Yeah, it's like they're bullying them now. It's like that Ardent Aura has made that big of a difference on these units. Which is crazy. That's just crazy, like how much of a difference it's made on them. We're having trouble. So we move the archers over a little bit. Hoping they get more damage done to them. A morale collapse wouldn't be a bad thing right now on them, because we want them to die, essentially. And they're not doing a very good job of that right now. Oh man, dude, they're eating it. Hopefully this tower will do some damage to them. Again, they've taken all of the aggro, so it's a really good video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 of them left. But we're going to use this to get an idea. So first off, clearly they're doing more damage, but this will be our most accurate idea of how much Ardent Aura gives them. I believe we got 10k health from the Archer Mastery, which put us up at like 45k-ish, give or take a bit. Now they're at 34k plus 9k, which is already 45k-ish for the record. 44k-ish, we'll say. Once the odd mads F up. So we'll say 44k starting, 49k. That's crazy, dude. They're at 52k. We'll say 53k, 54k. We'll add one in at the end, so 55k. So 55k from 35k, that's fucking crazy. So let's go do some math. So what we just learned is that we get about 10k health, 7 to 10k health from Archer Mastery, and then 7%, their health gets increased by 7% by Ardent Aura. So what we also just learned is that these two actually work together, and they do actually stack off each other. And how we know that is, if it was just giving me individuals, so 19% health based on the troops' health overall, it would have been like 7,000 to 10,000. Yes, that was right. But Ardent Aura is giving us 7% off of 35k. 7% of 35k, to give you an idea, is less than 10%. So 10% of 35k would be like 3,500. So it's less than that. It's like 2,000 health that you would get, right? So if it was just 2k health, plus the 10k health, it would have been 47k. It wasn't. It was like almost 60k health or 50k, whatever I just got from math. So what we're learning actually is that these two stack off each other. Which one goes first doesn't really matter, I'm pretty sure. Math ends up coming out finite the same way anyways, but so either way, you're multiplying by 19% and by 7%, coming out to a whopping, instead of 35k, 50k. So you're getting an additional 25 or 15k health. Yeah, is that right? About 15 plus k health. So that's huge. I mean, that's actually, no, 7%. That might actually be pretty accurate. So even this is kind of accurate too. Either way, they work together to give you a whopping 50k health. And that's, again, not with items. That's with the base 55 command that I have on him. I don't know where he's getting a bonus 5 from, to tell you the truth, but either way, now we're going to stack him up with command. So these are some of the items that you're going to want for him. For Avalon, you're going to want to put these types of items on him. You want to max out his command. Also, in certain events, you're going to want to have this on him, one of these on him, instead, because it'll actually give you that next level, which is 25% a boost instead of 19%. It gets up to 32%. So this essentially can be very, very broken. Very broken. Just to put that in perspective, it was giving us 19%. 32% is almost double 19%. So if we got 10k health just from that, we'd get like 20k health on an archer unit. That's a singular unit. You know, so that's what you would usually put on. For video sakes, we're not going to, because we already showed the Archer Mastery ability and how it boosts you. So we're just going to put maxed out command on him. Or max command for me. There is better command items. We're not going to do... Even though stamina has a role to play with health, which is kind of what we're trying to prove, actually, right? Is stats. And I think that would help me kind of... That's a little bit harder, actually. For video's sake, because we're not trying to prove damage, Or, well, actually, they lived last time, so chances are they're going to live again. We'll go with this. That's how you want to set up your Avalon. Instead of having Hands of Wisdoms, you may put Golden Visages, but my Visages are right around the same as my Wisdoms, so I might actually have one that's different. So this will be the final test. Basically, now he has items on. I might not even need Tiadrin now, but we'll see. So we just want to gauge the difference. And not only the archer's health, but their attack. How many are left over? Oh my god, I am definitely going to have to watch this video at the end, though, to look back and see how quickly troops died, and just give you, like, a really accurate idea on kind of what's going on. How big of a difference it's actually making. These easily testable things is simple one-to-one logic math. It's not complicated. Okay. So with everything it added on, a lot of them lived. But they actually dealt more damage than Tiadrin this time. And we have a 26k, 6k, we'll say 27k and 6k is like 33k. We'll say 3k for the even outs. So we have 33k, I said, right? Yeah, 36k. We'll say 3k, so 39k. 2k is 41k. 41, another 1100, so about 42,000. So the only thing is that these troops did kind of die, so we didn't get to see how much health these guys actually have, but I'm pretty sure more of them lived, which will prove that they actually did get more health. It won't show the math behind it, but it will give you an idea. So we're going to do this again, because our goal is to kill them. So this time around, we're actually going to get rid of Tiadrin. Just put Avalon in, which we'll play with the stats a little bit because they were adding command and stuff to this. It might let me do a stat thing at the end. It might not. We'll see. Nope, it won't. So I'm actually going to have to pause it. Okay, so we're going to do it like this now. Okay, so that's what we don't want, though. We don't want them. Maybe we'll put them here this time. Like I said, we want these archers to die, preferably. Or at least a good portion of them. But yeah, you can already kind of see the difference. Like, they're already doing better. What the actual math here is, I don't know. 35k, 46k, 47k, 48, 49. We'll say about 50k. So I think that was a better representation as well. But yeah, you get the idea. Let's go. So guys, that was Avalon's hero review. That's everything you really need to know about Avalon. And for at least humans, for building him based on his buffs. He's also increases your army cap, so this is an ability that you really want to make plays off of. I would recommend always having one spec if you're a spending person. Or if you're not, if you don't have multiple specs like I do to swap between, having this maxed out because it'll help you boost your army cap, at least until late game. The only ability I'd say is kind of useless is this ability. It does do a good amount of damage, but late game completely falls off. He becomes more of a buff hero late game and summons. He also summons archers, which can be very broken. So we're going to show that next. This is an actual PvP setup, I'm pretty sure. Or wait a minute, actually. This is actually the PvP setup that I showed you. It's got summon archers. These can summon quite a bit of archers, quite a bit of troops. They eventually start summoning silver and then eventually gold quality troops. The more command, the more power that they summon. So the more of this, the more you're gonna get, kind of thing. And that'll be a really cool test too. So let's summon. Let's do something. Okay, so what we're actually gonna do is we have full command on right now with Avalon. We're just gonna do Avalon because we're not gonna need anything else once we summon these guys. We're gonna summon with the full command and see kind of what we get out of this, and we're gonna do some math after. So we get XI, XIs, we get 2 full set of tier 11s silvers. I don't know what the power on those are, obviously, but we just want to kind of see what the increase is. That's actually cool. The archers actually died this run too, the bronze ones, but that might make for interesting stats too, because I don't think the silvers will count towards damage. Interesting. Okay. Okay, we're removing the items now. While we're doing this, though, I do... let's unplug my phone real quick. It's been charging for a little bit. To use the bathroom too, so I'm definitely going to use the bathroom really quickly. While I do that, I'm going to cut the video really fast. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you is that this is a PvP setup also because it works for anything but human. You would use this setup for any other race but human pretty much because you're getting the Warhorn boost, which is attack speed boost for all nearby allies, which is pretty significant. It's 30% for 8 seconds and then 45% for 8 seconds to next tier. And that's not even that leveled up. That's just 4. You could potentially combine that with like rack and crossbows and make a very dirty combo, but that's for different videos. For right now, that's just a PvP setup. What we've done is we've removed all of the command-based gear off of him, bringing him down to 55 command, and now we're going to go back into that dungeon and we're going to see just how much it affects his summon. Okay, so one of two things. We're going to bring these guys closer to give them that Warhorn buff that we talked about, and that's going to show the difference in attack speed alone. They are down on command right now, so they already kind of lost some attack speed. But that's not really what we're trying to show anyway, so it doesn't matter. We are trying to show the difference in summoning based on command. Wow, that's a huge difference. So it went from summoning 2 sets of these silvers to summoning 1 set of these silvers. So that just goes to show you how much command actually does affect these stats. To the point of loss, maybe, even. Yeah, they might lose. No, they're not going to lose because they're tier 11s, but that's kind of what we were getting at, though. I'm going to pause and follow back up on the stat screen. Before we follow up on the stat screen, I just realized that those archers actually all died, but no, actually, never mind, this is not. So, with all of our command gear taken off, we drop down to 55 command. We're just going to do some pretty basic math real quick. And I'm saying all of these numbers aloud in the video because when I rewatch this video, it's how I'm going to do the math. I'm going to take the numbers, write them down like you would in an equation, and I'll do the math backwards and figure out exactly what we're working with number-wise, or at least an idea. So I went from 138 to 55, so he lost about 60 or 70. So 60 or 70 command was enough to summon a whole nother pack of these guys. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. So it summoned 2 whole packs of silver with just 70 extra command. So that's a huge leap. That just goes to show you how much command does actually affect what you're doing. So I can only assume, right? If it doubled my power in that instance for the amount of troops that I summoned, it was a literal double. We're going to assume that it's probably going to double all of these things.
that much command. I doubled my command, essentially, and it doubled all of these stats, is what I'm going to assume. But that's it, guys. That's Avalon. This has been another Evolved Mental Moment. I have a ton of editing to do on this video. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially what you would want to do. And there's set items, actually, too, that you would put on him, like this, that would drop away from his command, but you know, that'll be fun to watch, actually. Let's do that. Let's do that really quick. So we're going to take one of the Hands of Wisdoms off, and we're going to put a summoner item on him, which summons 10% more units. We saw that before he summoned 2 full sets of these guys. We were going to test out the Archer Mastery +1 thing, but we already know what that does. It just gives you the next level, next skill. I don't think there's any other items that would benefit this cause. So okay, let's pause. Okay, so we remember that he summoned 2 full sets the last time. This time he is going to summon, let's see, a little bit more, hopefully. He gets 10% more, but it's the same. So that just goes to show you that item's not doing anything. Okay, so that item is, we're going to pause. Okay, so one of 2 things is happening here. Either that 10% is inefficient because 15 command, each command is 1%, and that's 5% more. So either that's what's happening, or we're hitting what this ability actually refers to as its limit. The overall power of the summoned longbowman cannot exceed 1500. Upgrading the ability to 8 allows feather shots to be summoned. So by saying that it can't go over 1500, it might be the cap. The cap might be 2 sets, 2 units. So that's good to know for mid-maxing. That's a concept in other games where basically I now know that I don't need to max his command out necessarily because I'm hitting a limit. I'm hitting a wall of what they can actually summon anyways. So I've now learned that this summoning thing is not worth it as long as I have at least 1 Hand of Wisdom to replace it. 2 of them in my trinket slots. So that's huge. That's important to know too, and this would change that. This would, obviously, if I had this leveled up, this would begin affecting that. So this is summon humanoid units plus 15 seconds. It means that they stay on the map longer. How much can I get this up? That's the question. Because this is a paid account, so I spent a ton of money on this account, so I don't know how much it has and how much it doesn't have. But yeah, so attack and health of summoned units by 20%, number of summoned units by 40%. So that would be broken essentially when you get to that point, when you have this at 40% summoned units. You can cast it twice per battle. That's broken. But when you get to that 40%, then essentially you wouldn't need the command items. You definitely wouldn't need summon items, but you wouldn't need command items. Well, for that skill at least. We actually don't know too what this maxed out would look like. I gotta get him to 40 so I can see that. Yeah, because you know what? That could potentially be really high. But that's it, guys. That's an Avalon video. I've pretty much explored all avenues of them, everything that you need to know. When you're building an Avalon, you want to focus mostly command because most of his abilities function off of command. So he is a command heavy. I like to break it up into percentages of what you should build on each person. Some people are like, don't build anything on one person. That's not actually true, and I'll show you why in a second if I have any stat cards, because you start maxing late game to end game, you start maxing out a lot of their stats. So you have nowhere else to put these fucking ability point cards. You're better off just putting them in heroes that aren't maxed yet. So I would focus command primarily. I would say that that's about 80% of what he is. I would say probably, I'd say like 7% stamina, 7% might. That would give you 14 from 80. That's 94%, and 6% magic. That's inaccurate though. I would actually say might's probably 10% and then 5%, 5%. So yeah, 5% magic, 5% stamina, 10% might, 80% command. That's what I would say his stat ratio would be, because believe it or not, the might will increase his arrow volley damage, but you're more or less, and you do kind of want more might because you want more crit chance for the archers and stuff like that. So yeah, again, I would totally go might and command on him. So 80% might, 10% might. 8% command, 10% might, 80% command, 10% might, 5% stamina, 5% magic is what I would ratio him on. So if you get a way to figure that out is if you get a bunch of stat cards, for every 5 you put into, or for every 10 you put into command, I would put like 4 or 5 into might, and then a couple into magic and stamina each. That's just me though. So yeah, guys, that's Avalon. This has been a great video. It's gonna be longish.